Howdy there, folks. I'm Walker Vestgood. I wanted to give you a quick message before you jump into this episode of the Off-Brand Golf Show. I just wanted to let you know we're doing a 5-episode challenge. You're in the middle of it here with this episode. We've got 5 episodes of the Off-Brand Golf Show running back to back to back to back. And if you like what you see here, make sure you subscribe to us. Also, click the like button on any of the videos that you watch. Definitely helps out the channel, and we appreciate a lot. Happy to have you here. Welcome. You can consider yourself an OBG. And without further ado, here's the episode. Welcome to the Off-Brand Golf Show, coming to you live from the Off-Brand Studios in a clubhouse, in a desert, by a cactus. What's up? I am your host, Walker Vestgood. Welcome to the show. No pro talk allowed on this show. Plenty of podcasts about that already. It's all amateur hour, and not U.S. amateur golf, but the amateur golf you all play. Public courses, skins games, net tournaments, muni tracks, that kind of thing. I'm glad to have you here. I hope you stick around. It's all golf, but it's completely off-brand golf. Welcome to the show today. We've got a good one. I have a co-host who's unfortunately not in the studio with me. He's in the land of bad ties, or pad thai. Land of pad thai? Land of bad ties?
Yeah, I think you could say pad thai.
He is my friend, Golf Sidekick.
What's up, bro? Man, this has been a long time.
Do we call you Mr. Sidekick, or can we call you Matt today?
There's many options. I also respond to Sir, Your Royal Highness, Matt, Bouse, Player in Chief, whatever you like. I'm okay.
I often refer to you as Player President.
Player President. I think we have a president already. He's J-Mac. He's still in Malaysia, and he's in charge of the International Birdie Bank. He's the president of it. So we have that role taken already.
International Birdie Bank. So I have invited Matt on with me today because of a number of reasons. One is I kind of wanted to dive into his background and how he's kind of brought the channel to where he is. The Golf Sidekick. By the way, when you see the video that, so I've been invited to post a video on Matt's channel, and when you see the video, there's probably 4 separate times where I say Golf Sidekick.
Yeah.
And
Freudian slip.
I cannot get it out of my head. Everybody's got to have a Golf Sidekick. But the Golf Sidekick YouTube channel has grown in immense popularity. I don't know anybody who plays golf that doesn't know what it is. Another thing that's also going to be in a video that I've just done recently that's going to come out with Adam is I see feathers planted for birdies all over the place. Literally, it happens probably 1 out of every 3 rounds. Like I'm at a 33% rate on this.
That's crazy. Yeah, you see it quite a lot. Yeah, even in here in Thailand, where I didn't think I have that many viewers, you go to a golf course and you'll see patches of feathers being planted, and people sending me pics from all over the world, Canada, USA, Australia, just people finding feathers and planting them. And just many times on the same golf course, and people are like, don't even know that the people there know about Golf Sidekick, which is something I'd actually prefer to do, is to have people around the world actually find each other, because I think we see golf, a lot of our channels are pretty similar. Our viewers see golf the same way, just something fun and lighthearted to do. And it's nice to meet people like that, because I think it's difficult to meet similar-minded people in golf, because there's there's not such a vast variety. There's probably 4 or 5 kinds of golfer, and I think that's what makes the channel appealing, is that it appeals to a certain kind of person who sees golf a certain way. And I thought I was the only one, but I guess if you do, another guy does, and if 2 guys do, then 20,000 do, and if 20,000 do, then 200,000 do.
I will admit the style of video that you have on that channel, which is, primarily, I guess, the shot from behind each shot, kind of running down the score, playing, 9 or 18 holes. And then as the channel's grown, it's grown into so many other things. You're obviously doing, comedy bits in certain pieces, and you're adding comedy into some instruction, some mental game instruction. But that type of video, the first one I ever saw was on a local course that Adam, Not a Scratch Golfer, had done. And he had mentioned you in that video. And so the second type of video that I checked out was yours. And then I realized that there's a multitude of different types of those videos. I discovered something called ambient golfer, who's a guy who never says a word. He just turns on the camera and plays 18 holes. It's like the most zen experience of all time, but just cool stuff. And there is ultimately, obviously, there's a market for it. You've got such a cool following, and at least in my experience, they're vocal about it. Like, I tell people, hey, I've started a YouTube channel. One of the first things they say is it more like good, or is it more like Golf Sidekick?
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Yeah. That's you guys are like the major comparisons, I think. I think other people, they probably consider guys like Rick Shields and some of these other kind of more teachy channels, but then there's like entertainment channels, I think. I don't know. How do you feel about your channel? Do you feel like it's a entertainment thing or more of like a teaching opportunity?
Well, at the moment, I'm kind of in between now. Before, I would just post up videos about what I'm learning, and then as you learn more and experiment more, you start to understand more about golf, and you start to realize it's more about the mental game. So I started shifting toward the mental game, and I mean, I'm just a normal person. So my videos are just me. I'm not putting on an act or have any kind of character that I'm in. So I figured that I can show people what I know and what I've learned through playing with all kinds of people. I don't play only with the best golfers. I play with pros all the way up to 36 handicappers, even guys shooting 140. And when I'm playing, I'm observing. So when I'm observing, I'm becoming more aware of what everyday golfers are like. And I always found that there wasn't a channel for everyday golfers. There's channel for bro golf. There's channels for just like golf porn, checking out courses and stuff. And there's instructive channels, but there wasn't anything mixing all of it together. So I figured I'm not a pro, which is unique. I do have a sense of humor. It can be a little bit twisted, can be sarcastic, can be slapstick at times. So it's not for everybody. And I like to dress differently. I don't like to go to the golf course and wear the country club clothing. I've always disliked that. So I mixed it all together, put in what I know, put in what I learned from the older guys I used to play with, put in what I learned from friends' dads as I was growing up, and what I observed myself. And I think it was a good mix combined together. And now currently, it's kind of morphed more toward the mental game, because there's only so much I can show people how to actually play golf like an amateur, because everyone wants to play like a pro. But I try and show people how amateurs actually play. So I think the next step is probably going to be something along the lines of still keeping the same vibe, but incorporating more about Thailand and about how it works here, tourism, traveling around the country playing and showing what it's like behind the scenes. Because I think that's another thing people haven't seen. But you can mix it all together, make it multidimensional. It doesn't have to be one or the other.
Right. Yeah. I think that's, from my vantage point, I think one of the coolest things, going back and once I discovered your channel and kind of observing the first couple of videos and then, 30 or 40 videos in and then another 50 videos in and then, the middle content. But if you were to binge watch that all the way through and watch that progression, it's kind of cool, because it must be cool for you, because you're going to get to a point where you're like, 85 or 90 on your deathbed, kind of getting to watch this and relive all of your journey through golf. But I think when I was watching, I got to the point, which was kind of recently in the last year, where you made your trip to the United States. And when you were explaining that just now, you said something about, this is just me. It's just how I am on a golf course. I think that was the most evident out of all your videos. You were just being this tourist in this place that you wanted to visit. You got to see all these cool courses, but not only that, you're being hosted by folks who, either knew something about the course or were having you stay with them, and you were just living this great life. And it was really enjoyable for me. And I think when you look through the comments section, everyone else to just kind of see you being this tourist and checking out these cool courses. It was a lot of fun, I think, for all of us to watch.
Yeah, America was an amazing experience. I mean, the golf is a little bit different because I played a few public courses and the vibe is a bit different. I can see why a lot of people are attracted to the channel because what I'm talking about is quite difficult to do on public courses there because of just how busy they get. I found the only time I could really chill really was on the private courses that I played because the public courses, it just seems the whole point of playing is pace of play. I was watching guys hacking 8 shots just to keep up pace of play instead of taking time to actually hit better shots. But beyond that, I mean, like, man, that for me was like amazing. I never thought I would ever get to America. Like, because I'm from South Africa, we need a visa to get there. You need to go through a visa process. You have to go book an appointment. You have to pay for the appointment beforehand. You have to go show your documents to prove that you're going to come back. You have to do the little interview thingy. You have to wait for the approval. And I just thought, well, you know what? I mean, I don't know how much money you need. I don't know, what you need to do to get this visa. And I just thought I'd never get to America. Like it was an
Right.
active thought. It wasn't like, okay, forget about America. It was like, I will never go to America. And then
Right.
and then I set about changing my life a little bit to actually put myself in a position. And one of the motivating factors was to get to America one day as a tourist or even as a resident. And that goal came true because I just focused all the efforts on setting something up that created a world where I go apply for the visa and I get it automatically, which is what happened. They spoke to me for 2 minutes. They asked, "What are you going to go do there?" I said, "I'm going to play golf with my YouTube subscribers." And they were like, "Oh, that's interesting." Boom, approved. So to actually be able to go there and see America was, I mean, I don't even care about the golf. I don't care about anything. Just to see the place and how well it functions and how nice the people are and all the crap people give America and Americans. It's not justified. Place is amazing.
Yeah.
People are amazing. Place was,
What
people are
was
generous. People are friendly. I mean, dude, to go to a checkout at a supermarket and get asked how you are and if you found everything okay, it's like the smallest thing in the world. But compared to where I live now, where there's not a word spoken, you're just like, oh my God, look how beautiful this is. This woman is like not interested at all in anything about me, but at least she
yeah.
asked me like, did I find everything okay? And I'm like, wow. I mean, firstly, I was taken aback that someone would talk to me, but the second thing was like, okay, well, clearly I did find everything okay because it's sitting on the counter here and you're scanning it. So, but I didn't say that. But people are generous. They gave me cars to use. They gave me condos to use. They gave me spare rooms to stay in. They treated me to freaking Pebble Beach. Dude, the dude gave
Yeah.
me a $5,000 weekend at Pebble Beach. I mean, Jeremy, it's like the greatest thing ever. And
Yeah.
I just don't see that happening anywhere else.
I'm happy that you had that experience because I think I mean I don't know. You might have noticed this, but it's also a little bit regional in the United States. I think, like in the South, I think people are a little more polite and outgoing and friendly, as opposed to like say somewhere like New York City or parts of California where I'm at. You don't kind of get the same experience. So I'm glad that, and I realized some of the places that you went. You spent some time in Arizona. People are super friendly there. You were in the DC area, which as far as the East Coast goes, that's one of the more friendlier kind of inviting places that you could have gone. And then, the central coast of California, people are quite friendly there. It's a very small town vibe. So I'm glad that was your experience. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, overall, it was good everywhere. I don't think we had a bad experience at all. I mean, my wife is Thai as well, so it's not like people can say, "Oh, you were treated nicely because of this or that." It's like we were both treated as if we are locals as well. That was one of the most mind-blowing things. I actually felt like I was American. So like when you'd go check in somewhere, when you'd go do something at the pharmacy or purchase, I don't know what you have to purchase in the States. I think it's alcohol. You need ID. And like
Yep.
people just ask for your driver's license or they ask for something assuming that you're an American. And that was like, I mean, it wasn't like, it seems so small, but to me, it's like, holy crap, this person actually thinks I'm an American. So, like, that feeling you don't get very often, where people just assume that you're actually part of the country, which when you're living in Asia and you're definitely not, and there's nothing that allows you to be legally. When you get to a country that actually does that, you're like, holy crap, man, this is crazy. I don't know what people complain about.
Yeah. I mean, you know what it is? From a guy who obviously grew up in the United States, I think honestly, people just, it's so good here and humans crave drama. I mean, it's why, movies are popular and dramatic television shows. We just crave that kind of thing, right? People don't pay their cable bill until the last day because we need a little drama. So at some point you get to the point where you're looking for things to to be upset about. When I mean, it's the greatest life. I'm unfortunately I've never been to South Africa. I would love to see it. Thailand's another place I would love to see. I've seen some other places that have given me perspective on how great that we have it here. So for you to kind of come here, do your videos, play golf, talk about that in the way that you did, it's nice for you to hold up a mirror so that I can see, how great we did in inviting in a couple of foreigners. So that's pretty cool.
Bro, it's the best. I mean, we keep talking about it, how we have to get back and stay there 6 months of the year. It's just the best. I mean, it's quiet. You have zoning. Like if you're in a residential area, it's a residential area. There's no
Right.
karaoke going off at 3 a.m. There's
Yeah.
there's no one screaming on their cell phone outside your house for like 2 hours. It's just the best. And like your supermarkets are got the best produce, and the people are so kind. They like stop and let you through, and like pedestrian crossing, you're allowed to walk over without the near death experience, despite the light being red. I mean, just completely different, and maybe
If
not different to you because you live there, but definitely stuff. If you get the perspective of not having it, you definitely will go back home going, "Holy crap, my country's good."
I've spent quite a bit of time in India, and
Yeah.
I would imagine that Thailand and India are a little bit the same when it comes to kind of rules of the road for driving.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, there were several times I nearly lost my life trying to get through an intersection.
Yeah, you have to be quick. You're either quick or you're dead.
So, speaking of the United States, one of your dear friends is in the United States currently, and that man is known as Mo Lim, ProMo,
ProMo,
which is
Mozilla, Quadzilla,
Quadzilla.
dude.
Quadzilla is the best. And, like, I am known around here for just having massive calves to the
Yeah,
point where like the jokes I've heard are bordering on ridiculous. So for a guy to have just the massive quads that Quadzilla does does have, I can relate to that. But dude, the guy's a man of many nicknames, but now a PGA Tour golfer.
yeah. He won a qualifier here in Thailand that they set up for the 3M, and it was a 3-day event, and he actually won that by 8 shots, which is insane. And he did really well in the last round just to hold off the other guy. I think the other guy tried to make a charge, but Mo obviously just kept his distance from him, playing with him in the last group, and he held him off 8 shots. And he came over to the 3M Open in Minnesota. But before that, we really, I've always wanted to send this guy to the US. I've always wanted to send him somewhere, and the US was always the big one. But
And how long have you known Mo?
well, I've known Mo now probably about, I think it's about 4 years. I'm not sure. There's a
Okay.
video that I have up on the channel where we shot 59 with another pro, a guy who does YouTube videos, golf every second. And this day, I had set up to play with golf only, just the two of us at this course that's 8,000 yards. But he said, hey, I'll bring my friend along, this guy Mo. So I met this guy, pretty quiet guy. But geez, when he hit the ball, man, I went dead quiet. I was like, how do you hit a ball on a frozen rope on every single shot like that? It was unbelievable. Driver off the deck, it didn't matter. And I thought, this is something special. So I actually played with him that round and then set up with him to come up to Chiang Mai to come learn how he practices and how he plays, because apparently he's got a great work ethic. So I came up here for 4 days to Chiang Mai. I'm living here now from Bangkok. And I was fast asleep by 7 p.m. every day. I was so dead from the amount of work this guy does. It's chipping, it's putting in the sun, it's driving range 2 sessions a day, it's going to the gym, it's scheduling eating, it's scheduling meditation, it's scheduling going for
Quad
the morning,
workouts.
to the point where I was dead. And I thought, this guy's something special. And so I started introducing him onto the channel more, and we started making some videos. He started getting a bit more comfortable. And I think some of his videos are the most popular on the channel. It's just he's such a relatable guy, and I think that's why people like him. And to think that he was only a 10 handicap 7 years ago is amazing. That's just
Oh,
how it
I did.
works.
I had no idea. He was a 10 handicap 7 years ago.
Yeah, he was a 10 handicap when he was 18. Now he's
And what was
25.
his final 3 day total under par? It was like, it was pretty, it was quite a bit under par,
For
wasn't
the
it?
qualifier, I think he shot like 8 under, 6 under, and then 1 under. So probably about 15 under.
Jesus. So from 10 handicap to just thrashing people.
Yeah, to having a PGA Tour start. So um, I've always wanted to get him to the States. We've been talking about it for a long time. And last year was the best time, but then COVID happened. So we couldn't do it, because that was probably the best time for his videos and things to get some interest to send him over there. But then this year came around, we couldn't really get a plan together that would be justifiable to ask for crowdfunding. And then I told him, well, we sat at a golf course here in Chiang Mai after shooting one of the videos we shot together. I said, Mo, I'm willing to put up the money as I have for the last few years myself for you to do stuff in the Asian tour. So I've paid for his qualifying schools. I've paid for some of his expenses. I've given him, I'll buy him golf balls. I'll buy him clubs and stuff like that. But the one thing that I can do this year is I can give you $15,000, $16,000 to fund you on the Asian tour, the Asian development tour, and your Q school end of the year. But if you want to get to the US, you're going to have to win something along the way. Like you need to win this year. If you don't win, we ain't got nothing. And the guy goes out 2 weeks later, wins a freaking PGA qualifier to the 3M Open, his first pro win. So it was just perfect timing. And now we were able to create the plan of sending him over to the US.
So how long is Mo going to be here for in total?
So,
I mean, obviously it could be into perpetuity if he's successful, but what's like kind of the runtime that we're planning on here?
well, I was trying to think of maybe until the end of Korn Ferry Q school. So that's probably the end of October, I believe, or perhaps November, if you go through
Hmm.
all the stages, which is tough. I mean, it's probably one of the toughest Q schools. But we thought 4 to 5 months, and he did a little budget on what things would cost because I've been nagging him to do that. He's not exactly an academic. ProMo is a golfer through and through. So he's not really a
Yep.
computer guy. He's not really that. So he put together this spreadsheet for me, and then we set up like a Go Get funding because GoFundMe doesn't work in Thailand. So we set up Go Get funding, and we figured about $70,000 would be enough to keep him in America for 4 months. Probably a little on the low end, but we figured that that should be enough because he's very good with cash because this dude comes from almost nothing. Like you
Right.
can imagine when he was a kid, like playing tournaments, he would have a choice between playing 8 local tournaments in Chiang Mai or 4 tournaments in Bangkok, just on the budget that they had to work with in order to afford it. So he's very different in terms of he's not from the elite, wealthy families where most pro
Right.
golfers from Thailand, as you see on the tour, definitely have come from money. There's very few rags to riches stories, which is another reason I like Mo so much. And one of the big reasons I like this funding thing is that we can actually change someone's life for the better, and not in some kind of woe is me kind of way. It's like, no, this guy worked fucking hard, like from an
Right.
18-year-old 10 handicap to being a PGA Tour starter. That is insane in 7 years.
Yeah, that's incredible. To put the proper measuring stick against that, a 10 hand like an 18-year-old 10 handicap is shooting 85 all the time,
Yeah,
86, 87 all the time. And then this guy shot rounds of 8 under, 1 under, and I think like 3 under. So, double digits under par, three, not just in just 3 random ass rounds. He was doing this against other guys also trying to take him out at the knees to get into this tournament in Minnesota last week.
well,
So
exactly. And
incredible.
and that's one of the reasons I like him as well. It's like you never hear the rag to riches stories. I just put myself in his position when I was his age, 22, 23, and I was playing scratch golf plus around plus handicap golf. But you always sit and wonder, where's this backer going to come from? Where is this come? Who's going to help me out? I don't have money to fund myself to just play golf. And that's one of the reasons I could never really get into it because of just funding. And to see a guy like this who doesn't come from anything, I mean, to see the way he hits the ball, the dedication he puts in, I thought it was something special, and it paid off. You know, um, so so when it came to getting funding for him, it was an automatic for me. It wasn't even like, it's been something 2 years in the making. So it's been something I've been wanting to do. So when he finally got that win under his belt, they got him to the qualifier. I was just like, this is it. This is our chance now to finally,
Right.
The Knight's Tale is one of my favorite movies as well. That William um, Ulrich von Liechtenstein, the fake knight who becomes a real knight by just being a fake one for a while. And he goes
Right.
back and sees his dad, William Thatcher, and then like his dad's gone blind and he hasn't seen him for years. He sent him off to go work for a night, and he comes back and tells his dad that he changed his stars. You're just like, holy fuck, that's what we can do with this guy. And
Right.
hopefully it works out. I mean, he's played a few qualifiers, a few Monday qualifiers, varying success. But I mean, he's in a new environment, new way of playing, new course conditions. So we'll get there eventually.
I could not watch his second round at the 3M in Minnesota, but I did see his first round. And, this is something you probably don't know, but I've had the opportunity to play around some PGA Tour players over the years, and some other guys who like are senior tour players now. And, watching the type of game that they have and the type of consistency and the way that they carry themselves on the course, I was interested to see how Mo was going to behave in front of the camera and see how he fit in. I wanted to see if there were going to be, visible nerves, because, you get on that kind of stage with that much at stake. I was like, man, I hope he doesn't show up to this thing and throw up a 15 over and then just be deflated. He sat in and shot 1 over, and the projected cut line after the first day, I think, was 1 over or perhaps even, but he's right there. So he did that, and then he had, a little bit rougher time on the next day, so that was kind of a bummer. But what did you think of the way that he played the first day?
Well, I think the first day was perfect. He shot the field average in the afternoon of the PGA Tour. So whoever's in that field on the afternoon, he shot the exact average of the best players in the world. And he
Right.
had the final tee time of the day. So everyone's been stomping on the greens. The spikes have churned them up. So to do that in your first ever start in the wind, where there's no wind in Thailand, you have to understand. You might get wind in Phuket like maybe 3 days a year, but the rest of the country there's no wind. So for him to do that there on bent grass greens, bent grass fairways, after being from Bermuda, is crazy. And the thing about the second round, and I'm really proud of that first round. I woke up in the morning going, "Oh my god! If I turn this on and just check his score and it's a 78, I'm gonna cry." And it was a
Yeah.
73, and I was more than happy. I was so proud of him that I thought, whatever happens, I don't care. And then the second
Right.
round came, and I think a lot of things that happened before the tournament, the delayed flight in Denver,
Right.
overnight there, the lost bag on the Sunday when he arrived, the incorrect booking or the late booking of his flight, which was supposed to be done by someone else, which I can't really get into that much, but it is a factor that he arrived 4 days after he wanted to. And
Right. He had probably 5 or 6 different issues just on the trip there.
plus he had the rental car, and that got dinged in the car park of the hotel he was staying in. And like now he's got a
Fuck.
rental car dinged, and he's got that on his mind. I'm not going to say it's an excuse or anything, but what happened is he had a couple difficult holes. I think he's having some difficulty adjusting his wedge game to the new grass, different
Right.
bounces, different angles of attack and stuff like that. Because we used to very steep shots here on Bermuda, and on bent
Right.
grass you can't have steep shots, especially on the tour. So he had a bit of difficulty with his wedge distance control. But if you look at his stats, he was 23rd on strokes gained off the tee. I mean, 23rd strokes gained off the tee, dude, that's
Right.
crazy. And
Yeah, that's incredible.
and then we've got the putting stats and the approach stats. It was clearly the approach stats where he fell down the most, which was like minus 3.8 or something like that to the field, which I can understand. You need time on the conditions, you need time on the course, you need time in the climate to acclimatize to it. And he had probably, I think he had about a round and a half of practice round there at the Twin Cities TPC.
Yeah, I mean, I played golf in the summertime in Minnesota, and the air is pretty dry there. The the temperature can get up, but I mean, the difference in humidity from like Thailand to Minnesota, that's, you know, a club and a club and a club and a half, like into those greens. So, you know,
Yeah,
in some of the shots that I saw him hit live, you know, you could kind of tell his reaction from things was like, holy shit, how did that end up going so far? Or
yeah.
that kind of thing. So you could see it was kind of affecting him. But man, just watching him move around the greens and stuff, it was really impressive how well put together and well he was carrying himself throughout the day. So that was a lot of fun to watch. What's his next step? What's he got going on? He shot a pre-qualifier and qualified into a Monday qualifier. That Monday was actually yesterday as we're recording this. What happened there?
Yeah, so he went down to Bermuda Run in North Carolina and he shot a 3-under round on the Thursday. A couple players came out from the channel to come watch him play, and one caddied for him. It was amazing. On a Thursday pre-qualifier, he's got 4 guys following him, and then he qualified into the Monday for the Wyndham Championship in Greensboro, and
Uh-huh.
he played the Monday qualifier. Another 4 guys came to watch him, and one of the guys caddied for him, and he shot a level par round today, which, I mean, I think that's probably about 32nd place. So you need to make top 4 to get into the tournament. So the main thing he's finding difficult now is just putting because of the new greens. He's so used to Bermuda and the kind of Bermuda we have here, and it's just not, it's just not firing inside 10 to 15 feet at the moment. So he's gone from Bermuda to bent, now onto Bermuda again, and probably a different strain. So if he can get the putter working, I think he'll be fine. But the next
Yep.
step for him now will be to go and go play Canapolis. I think there's some. I'm not sure what's happening at Canapolis. I think there's another qualifier for something there, and also to stay in Bermuda Run for a little while longer because he just got notification that his Korn Ferry Q school will be at Bermuda Run. So he's quite lucky that he got his first choice.
Oh
So,
wow.
so the course he's just been playing the last week, he'll be playing again for Korn Ferry Q School pre-qualifying, the
Yeah,
stage
that's
zero.
awesome.
And then in the meantime, he'll be going to California to Long Beach because there's somewhere to stay there for free. And he'll be working on his game there, seeing a couple coaches that are very similar to his coaches here in Thailand, but obviously more advanced in their learning, more advanced in their technology and stuff. So he can get their insights on the short game, on the swing, and get ready for the Q school.
You know, Long Beach is just next to Irvine, and Irvine is the Southern California is like there's 2 communities there. There's Vietnamese community and Thai community. So maybe he can find his way over there and grab some
Yeah,
familiar food and try to adjust
yeah, I think so. I think he's missing the Thai food as well. And when he goes and eats food now, he's so surprised at the size of the portions.
portions. What did you think of those when you came over here? Like, no wonder we're all fat.
Well, the funniest part is that people think that America is very different to everywhere else, but it's actually pretty much identical to South Africa. Like, you could be in South Africa now, and people wouldn't bat an eyelid at you. But the only thing I notice with Americans that are very different to South Africans is your facial expressions. Like you look American. I mean, you're like smiley, your eyes are wide open, you're not scowling.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
in South Africa, you're going to get more of a scowl, more of a Russian style look. But
right.
like a Russian vibe, whereas you have the like American style open face, ready to talk kind of thing. But in terms of body size, in terms of the percentage of people that look like this or that or whatever, it's I basically felt like everywhere I was in a part of South Africa, just first world, and everything's functioning. Like you have electricity all day.
And running water and shit.
Yeah, but I mean, people wondered like, what did you think of everything? And basically the same thing in South Africa. Like if you go to a restaurant, I'm thinking like, man, I don't want to pay like $20 for the steak because it's so big. Can I just have a $10 steak that's half the size? But nobody wants to do that. Everybody wants to get maximum value. So it's the same in South Africa. If you went to South Africa now, you would be, oh wow, this is like America.
That's awesome. That's awesome. South Africa is on like a bucket list. I'm not like interested in really like traveling in Europe. Although I wouldn't mind going to your home country of Lithuania. What is the story with that, by the way?
Well, I
So
I
for
mean,
anybody, so what this is apparently Golf Sidekick is a Lithuanian citizen.
I am 100% Lithuanian citizen by way of 50% of my blood is pure Lithuanian. But the story is that, okay, now I'm South African. Like, your passport is not that great as a South African. You need visas everywhere. And when I was
Right.
younger, I was kept looking for what passport can I get? Like, my mom was Danish, my dad is South African from Scottish and Irish descent. My grandmother was Polish, my great grandmother is Polish, their whole family is Polish. So I'm like checking out all these countries. Okay, Danish can't do it. My mom gave up the citizenship. My dad got nothing. He's South African through and through. My grandmother and great grandmother Poland can't get Polish, impossible. But they both have English citizenship, but they're not by being born on the land, they got it by naturalizing. So I'd have to live in England 9 months of the year for 5 years to get a passport. So
You're
I
right.
thought, okay, I don't know what to do. Then my great grandmother dies. Okay, this is the best part. She dies, and I go sleep in her bedroom after she's died for a week, right? So I'm like on
Uh-huh.
my old Blackberry Googling, like, okay, what citizenship, what citizenship? Then for some reason, while lying in my great grand's bedroom, I get this thought, hang on, they always said they're born in Vilnius. Now, where's Vilnius? So I type in Vilnius, and it says freaking Vilnius, Lithuania. And I go the next day to my gran and I say to her, because my great gran had died, I go the next day to my gran. I'm like, Gran, where were you born? Oh, Vilnius, Poland. And I'm like, you dick, it's in Lithuania. So I go and check out. I go and check out because they didn't know Lithuania was now a country, right? Because Lithuania is like 20 years
Right.
old or something.
Right. Right.
So I go back onto Google and I go,
It's
Lithuanian
not fucking
citizenship.
Poland anymore.
Yeah, Lithuanian citizenship requirements. And I'm like, um, anybody from your mother to grandmother to great grandmother, if they were born here and had the citizenship and then fled before this certain date when the Russians and Germans invaded, and
Right.
they had fled 4 days before that deadline, so I just qualified. So I was like, holy crap, I'm entitled to Lithuanian citizenship. So anyway, that took a while because I applied and they needed all kind of other requirements, and we let it go for about 8 years. And then my sister Tiski reminded me, hey, what happened to Lithuanian citizenship? So I just rekindled the thing with the lawyer in Vilnius in Lithuania, and she was like, oh, they dropped all the restrictions. If you just related to someone in Lithuania now, you can basically get it. So we paid her again, and about 3 months later, it was approved, and now I'm European again. I mean, it's so difficult traveling with South African passport, man. Like with a Lithuanian,
Why is there like a high incidence of like terrorists coming out of South Africa? Like, what's the deal with that?
I think what
Doesn't make
happened.
any sense to me.
I think what happened is they started selling passports to foreigners. So foreigners would come down to South Africa and be like, "Yo, man, my passport is shitter than this one. So can I have a South African one?" Because South Africans could go to Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and England, and even America at one stage completely visa free. So people would
Uh huh.
come down here to, or down there to South Africa, buy themselves a passport, and then go to England, go to Australia, and then just stay there because we would have these 90-day, 180-day agreements. And then they would just stay there for life. And then eventually the other countries were like, well, yeah, you guys are screwing up bad. So you got to get visas now. So
So
now
how?
So now I'm Lithuanian, sixth most powerful passport in the world, bro. You know when Tiger Woods put his hands up after winning that Masters that he won after however many years, and he was like, you
Oh
just see
yeah,
the
yeah.
joy
In
and the
19.
relief. That was me with the Lithuanian passport. I was like, come on,
I can go to other places without being just fucked with
yeah,
constantly.
exactly.
Dude, well, going to Canada as an American, like they will always let you in. It's not a big deal. You don't need a visa to go visit, but they're famous for as soon as they realize that you're American, they will make you stand at that podium and just fuck with you for 5 minutes, like asking you crazy questions about whatever. And also they're waiting for like your criminal background check to pop up on the screen
Oh,
to make sure
really?
you don't have like any, disqualifying like problems. But I would imagine that having a South African passport is like that for wherever you want to go. They're just, nah, well, you
Yeah.
need to
You-
fill out this paper. You need to deal with this, bribe this.
Well, you would be correct. You would be correct. Anywhere you go, basically, especially here in Asia, because a lot of people don't actually know that South Africa is a country. So when they see the word Africa on it, they immediately, like, now that throws up a flag in their mind or in the system, and then they have to do like deeper analysis, and you're like, my bro, I've never overstayed in any country. Look at my whole passport. You can check this. The stamps are perfect. There's no red stamps anywhere to not allow me into countries. But you're right. They just stop and they're like, "How long are you going to be here? Have you come to work here?" Da, 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 da. And you're like, now when you're Lithuanian, it's same person, different piece of paper. Now you get treated differently. It's completely insane.
Yeah, it sounds like being a Republican in the United States. They're getting fucked with like that recently.
Yeah, no comment on any of the on any political stuff.
What about so how did you end up in Thailand?
Well, in Thailand, what happens is I wanted to leave South Africa, right? That was my primary goal. I had a couple goals in life. One of them was to leave SA and not return as a resident, however offensive that may be to people. There's just more to it than what's going on there. And I decided, okay, well, how do I get out of here the easiest possible way? And the easiest way to find work and to get set up and to start meeting people is definitely Southeast Asia, because obviously our passports are not that powerful. I can't just land in America or Canada, Australia, or anywhere and just be like, hey, what's up? Can I work here? And then organize
Right.
myself a visa. So I just came to Thailand because it was either Thailand, Vietnam, or basically that. And
Right.
landed here, and then just start working. You can get a job pretty easy doing almost anything here, and then got recruited out of that job into another job, which was higher paying, more prestigious, and then getting offered a regional position, but actually realizing how much you hate the corporate life, and in that corporate life, just getting my soul ground down, and
Yeah.
starting to look outside of Thailand at that point, but then deciding that Thailand's the best place to start your own business. And so I started with stuff online, and from there, I mean, I just started realizing, well, if you can make an income online doing, you know, anything, you can basically write, you can code, you can create websites, you can do anything you want. I figured, well, I mean, it can't be worse than sitting in an office all day doing work you hate, getting crap from a job you don't care about. It's like nothing worse than getting crap from a job, getting crap from a boss, doing work that you couldn't give two shits about. It's like the
Right.
most counterintuitive thing. I sat there going, you know what, bitch? I do not care about what you've just given me to do. And the fact that you're shitting on me for doing the best job of the shit you just gave me, I ain't taking it no more. And I got called into a board meeting once with people from Singapore at this big company I worked at. And I was like, bro, I was like the star performer there. I got the star performer award, whatever, 2 years in a row. You know that crap they give you that makes you feel special. No extra money.
Right.
But some little piece of
Right. But it's
paper.
not, yeah, but it's not worth what really says, hey, thanks for doing a good job.
Yeah, so I go into this meeting and I'm like this guy who's like revolutionized their whole data analytics section. I've created it. They didn't even have it. And I've cut probably about 50,000 man hours per quarter. And I come in there and I've organized the data 2 weeks before any other company has the data. I'm making friends in the industry who can give me stuff quickly. And I've got these things up on the presentations to help people tell stories about their shitty performance, right? So I take data and I turn it into a story that shows people to be way better than what they are. Basically, my job was to keep people in their job despite how shit they were. And like
Right.
I go in there and she's telling me about the color of a bar on a chart is incorrect. It was red instead of green. And
Dude.
I'm like, you call me. So I stood up and I said, sorry, did you actually call me in front of these people from Singapore, from the head office in Singapore, just to shit me out over the color of a bar chart, knowing that I've got
What's next?
2 weeks
TPS
before?
reports?
No, well, this was way more important than that, but it's like the data was perfect. It was telling a great story. It was one color on one chart. And I said to her, I don't have time for this shit. I'm out.
Right.
I'm out.
Yeah.
And I quit there in front of the board, right in front of her eyes. Went to go pack up my desk and I walked out and I was like, fuck, I'm not doing that shit anymore.
Do you ever wonder if she's seen one of your videos on YouTube?
She would not have. No, she's a sociopath. And Even there's a bathroom fitting brand name, like with her same name, even spelt the same way, bathtubs and sinks and toilets. And if I go to a place like a hotel or
And you
something
see
with
that
that
name on the
brand,
fucking
I'll
toilet?
check out of the hotel. Or I have to put like a soap on the name so I don't see it. I'm so traumatized.
Dude.
But yeah, so I've
Uh,
stayed in Thailand this long basically because it was easy to stay here in the beginning, and then it became easier as you make bigger plans. That allows you to be able to stay longer. And actually, life is pretty good, yeah, man. I mean, it's pretty easy to live. It's a bit frustrating here and there, but overall, the system works. It may not be everybody's favorite system, but it's my favorite system. It's chaotic, it's organized, but it's super chaotic. There's you've got to finagle your way around everything. I love it. It keeps your mind active. You can't get sleepy here.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm not surprised in the least that you say that, because I like just watching your videos when you get out on a golf course in Thailand. I can kind of tell that that's like your happy place, right? Like in the way that you talk about it, or the way that you kind of have fun on a golf course, whether it's, messing with the caddies about not giving him a tip, or screwing with promo over his quads, or whatever's going on. Or if you're just out there by yourself and talking about, how great life is, that you just get to, play fetch with yourself on a golf course, you can kind of tell that, you're in a happy spot with, probably life outside the golf course for sure. And then, once you get on it, that comes through in the videos, I think. And by the way, I think it's mirrored in the comments too. I think a lot of people pick that up and enjoy watching for, that reason.
Yeah, I think so, man. Golf really is the happy place. I mean, it's just quiet out there. There's no noise going on. You're alone for 5 hours. No, one of the worst things in life I find at the moment, and it's not to complain or say it's the worst, but one of the things affecting me the most is that you start to become a bit more aware when you spend more time alone, and you start to understand things like one of the biggest one that influences me now is the constant feedback you're getting by being around people all the time. You actually forget who you are because you're getting a feedback from people, whether you know them or not, on what they're expecting from you. And that vibe you can pick up subconsciously, and you start to react and start to behave in ways that is congruent with what people expect of you, what people know about you, whether it's your family, your friends, strangers, your loved ones. And being on the golf course, I get to just like drop all that stuff, you know what I mean? And you go back inside and you just like chill out, zen out, and start focusing on the challenge of golf shots, which is basically a meditation. People talk about meditation and stuff. Golf is basically, to me, meditation and spiritual, because it's this balance between thinking and not thinking. It's the balance between going inside your brain and then letting your brain go. It's about being quiet. It's about joking around. It's about knowing, when to read the situations and stuff like that. And that's why I guess it's such a happy place, because it's like my form of meditation. I can't sit still and meditate sitting in a seated lotus position. So mine is
Right.
purely golf. 5 hours, even if there's no one on the course, I'll take 7 hours to play a one ball, just because it's so zen.
Dude, don't come over to California and try doing that. You're gonna get some ex police officer marshal up your ass for 9 holes.
Oh man, I had a couple of those guys there, but that's the difference. That's why I would invite anybody who wants to actually just really enjoy golf is to come to Thailand at least once. If not Thailand, Vietnam, or Indonesia, it's the same thing. And you get to play golf midweek. Courses are pretty empty. Caddies are always nice, and the higher end you go, the better the caddy experience is. The better they are at reading stuff. The better they are at giving you your drink and filling divots and stuff, and you don't have to worry about a thing. And if there are people behind you, you wait for the next drink station. You sit down, have a whiskey, have a beer, whatever you want, and
That's
they
awesome.
they go past, and no one gets angry. You never see people not
Hitting into
shouting
other people.
for and then having an argument, to people talking about pace of play and shouting at each other. It's a totally chill environment, and that's also one of the big appeals.
One of the regular bits that is part of this specific podcast is we do golf on the news, and it's, I would say, like 80% of news stories that involve golf are that argument, right? Like somebody's going too slow, or somebody hits into somebody on purpose, and then it's just like oh, like people getting their shirts ripped off.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
pretty
like,
much the opposite of what you experience in Thailand.
I get it because I used to play in South Africa where it's the same thing, man. People are like angry on the edge, waiting to lose their shit over something, and I'm just like, bros, we're out here playing our game. It's just a game, and we're hanging out with each other. Like, why would I hang out with friends and choose to rather spend 3.5 hours with them rather than 5 hours with them on doing the same thing? Just chilling out, chit chatting in the fairway, waiting between shots. I don't mind. I can play 6 hour rounds, man. It's fine. But
Dude, if yeah, right, like I'm with you because for me, it's not like I play golf. My two primary places I play golf is in California, where the courses are beautiful. Even the goat tracks are nice, and then Arizona, where you got to experience that firsthand. Those courses are like it's like playing golf in a painting
yeah, yeah.
every time, right? And so like you get out there, and I mean, dude, I've seen parts of the planet where you're literally just walking down the street and there's piles of trash on fire. Like, this is the most beautiful place on earth you could possibly be. And you live one time. Like, just enjoy it. Like, what is the rush?
Yeah.
I don't
I
understand
think
people,
I think
up
modern
each
life
other's
has
ass
just
over it.
made people completely crazy about timing and getting things done as quickly as possible. I think that's one of the big difference in Thailand as well. It's like if you're living out here, if you live in Bangkok, if you've got tasks to do, like anything major, schedule one a day. And that's the thing. Like my wife and I noticed in the US was we would get to 11 a.m. and we're like, oh my God, dude, we've done seven things already. And it's 11 a.m. We have the whole day. Whereas in
Right.
Thailand, like Bangkok, if I have to go, for example, um, go to town to go get myself, let's say, a new driver. Okay, I've got to get to Ceylon. It's right downtown. That's where the golf center is. And I need to get it fitted by Eric, my fitter's protege. That is basically the one thing I'm doing the whole day. There is nothing else going on. It's going to take me an hour to get there. It's going to take me 20 minutes to find parking. It's going to take ages to do the fitting. It's going to take another hour and a half, depending on traffic, to get back. So you're basically doing 5, 6 hours per activity. And I think that's a big difference in the States and in the West is that everything's so fast paced there. Everything's so, everything's go getter, go getter. That I think people lose sight of that when they get to the golf course. They take that with them to the course, and not only do they take that, they also take their loss of power and loss of control in their life due to this high speed nature, and they project it on the golf course into people around them, where it's like, we have to be done in 3 hours, 2.5 hours. You guys are slow. Get the fuck out of the way. And it's like, dude, we're no longer in the city anymore. We're on the golf
Right.
course. Like,
This is
just
not the
chill.
world in which you walk through.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective because I think pace of play is like one of the things that people here get like the most upset about. I mean, dude, people like breaking rules and cheating, I don't think gets as much shit as like somebody talking. Like, you could fuck your buddies over out of skins money and it doesn't get you as much trouble as if you're like taking 5 hours to
Yeah.
play around.
Yeah, you can kick the ball in the rough, and it's like, if you're not cheating, you're not trying. But if you're taking 3 hours and 45 minutes to play 18 holes, it's like death.
You're gonna get somebody's gonna throw you into a ditch and pull your shirt off and
Yeah,
start kicking you.
I mean, I don't know. Whatever, people have their reasons for it, and it's probably not going to go away. And it's difficult because you can tell people like just chill out, but then you're going to then have people chilling out at 4.5 hours in the middle of the field, making everybody else play 4.5 hours where they want to be done in 2.5. So I have no idea. The only thing I would suggest is join a country club. Then you can just
Yeah,
basically
just
tee off when you want and take as long as you want.
that's like my financial goal in life is to not be at the mercy of anybody else's schedule on the golf course. And the only way to do that is just earn enough bucks
Yeah, just
to get into a
go
private.
join the Olympic club. I mean, who cares? Otherwise, just come to Thailand or Vietnam or Cambodia. Vietnam, I believe, though, is a bit more scheduled. Where they will actually pair you with people. The best thing in Thailand about playing golf here, and which is why I'm not sure if I could play golf anywhere else long term, is that I can walk into basically any golf course here, besides maybe 5 or 6 ultra private ones. I can walk onto any one, walk in, no booking, go to the counter and be like, "Hey, I want to play a one ball," and they'll be like, "Yeah, no problem." caddy fee this much, cart is this much, and green fee is this much.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, dude, it's my zen place for a lot of. I mean, it's interesting because golf's taught me some kind of different lessons. Like, I think the biggest thing I've taken away from golf that passes over into my real life. I mean, it's kind of related. I've learned patience and picking your spots. Like, I came from like an athletic background as a younger man, and where a sport where, like, you know, anger is rewarded, right? Like, you could get really angry playing, you know, football or basketball and baseball, and you can use that and leverage it to excel. Whereas golf, you know, you get angry or you get in a bad headspace or you're worried about something, like, you're absolutely fucked. Like, you're not just going to have a bad round. It's going to be impossible to play if you let that kind of thing in. So for me, just, you know, patience. Like, you can't make, if you're off the tee and you're in some place that's a spot of trouble, you're just not going to, birdie is out of the equation. Just make par, and all of a sudden par becomes a good score from that position. That's not a concept I ever had until, you know, actually recently. And there's been a dramatic downturn in my scores and my handicap, essentially, once that finally got through. I don't know if it's like age that does that, or
How old are you now?
like what happens. I mean, maybe, right? Maturation causes that.
How old are you?
43.
Yeah, bro. I think once you get over 30, I found that in life so far, you have the few age gaps or age uh, benchmarks that you reach. And when you're like 18 to 25, you're invincible. Nothing's going to stop you. You can do whatever you like. Life's fine. Then
Right.
you hit 25 and you go, oh man, this shit is serious. I got to stop screwing around. Then you get to
Right.
30 and you're like, oh boy, it really is serious. Now I've got about 10 to 15 years of living left. I probably have to do something more. Then you get to 35 and then you're like, kind of like, okay, it's not so bad. If I just take steps in the right direction and just stick with it, I'll be okay. And I'm not stupid. I'm not addicted to drugs. I'm not mentally deficient. I'll be okay. And then probably at 40, you probably go, what am I worrying about?
Right.
Chill,
Right.
daddy. Daddy, chill. And then I think you probably get to 50, 60 years old and you're like, you know what? I can say what I want when I want. I don't.
Whatever the fuck. Yeah. The fucking filter's off. You can
Yeah.
just express whatever.
And
All the old school opinions come out.
being in Chiang Mai here, I just, I came up here because I couldn't stand Bangkok anymore. It's just too crazy. And I found a yogi 2 doors down here. So I've been going to a yogi for yoga and Dharma talks and all the stuff that they go through. And here's one thing: he's 62 years old. Dude, he's got a body that like you'd be proud of if you were 30. And his skin is
Jesus.
tight around his muscles. You can see his abs. It's insane. And he just sits there. He's given up his whole life of materialism. He's completely into poverty. Like his way is that if there's a more difficult way, I take that way. And he doesn't
Huh.
collect any items. He doesn't try earn money. It just comes to him as he needs it. And his big thing was like, man, I got to 60, and I was like, what was the big rush? Like all those years in my 20s, 30s, and early 40s, what was the big rush for? Like,
Right.
you've got to live in between. And I think people lose sight of that as well. And that probably spills over into their golf life and into their everyday life, is that you don't live, you're not present. So that's one of the things that golf has taught me as well, is like you have to be present. In that moment, it's extreme concentration. Then it's extreme letting go of the concentration. Then it's completely letting go of everything and then get to the next shot and do it again. And if you do that on everything in life, you can never go wrong because you're fully present in every moment instead of doing stuff distracted. It makes your
The
relationships better, it makes your business life better, it makes every day better. Because we're in autopilot, what, 95, 98% of the time?
right.
I bet you there's things today that you did that you don't even remember. You don't
Right.
know how you got from here to there. And if you just engage that being present and actually understanding what you're doing at the time, you can actually start to impose your free will onto it instead of going in autopilot mode.
Dude, you want to put that in action. The next time you go out to dinner with the wife and you're sitting down to a place and you're really excited about eating that food, or you're trying like a new restaurant, do it when you're trying a new restaurant. Sit down, And then when you start to eat the food, get in the mindset it doesn't matter if you've had the food or not. Like, it's your favorite dish. You've had it a million times, whatever it is. If it's at a new place and you've never eaten there, the second you put that first bite in your mouth, think about it, that you've never tasted it before, whatever it is, whether or not you have. Take each bite of everything that you eat and just kind of imagine that you're tasting it for the first time ever. You will start to experience this presence, because I think a lot of times when we eat, we really like things that we eat, but it doesn't affect you like the first time that you've ever tried something. And at this age, you run out of those opportunities, but try it and you are significantly more present in that moment. It's an excellent exercise. And then you can kind of translate that to other things, whether it's golf or whether it's experiencing a new place or whatever you're doing. But it's an excellent exercise. That's your homework. Try that out and see how you feel about it.
The whole time you're talking though, because that's exactly what I've started to do. So I love this gnocchi dish with 4 kind of cheeses here in Chiang Mai, and I go to this restaurant probably once every week and a half. And every time I go, that first bit of gnocchi, it's as if it's the first time I've ever tasted it, and it's the greatest thing on earth. And then I reset and I do it with the next piece, and I make sure there's
right, exactly. That's the key
with each piece.
Yep.
And it's amazing because you remember it, you savor it, and you can have that memory. And instead of just walking around wolfing stuff down, and that's the biggest one to start with, if you do want to start with being mindful, is to just start with eating. Just every time you have a meal, make sure you chew the food as small as you can, taste every flavor in it on every single bite. And that alone can change your life, because that can take anywhere with you.
Yeah, you've nailed it. The last thing I'll kind of mention before that, and I'll let you get out of the sweat box that you are no doubt in, trying to stay quiet. He informed me that in his place he's basically built a soundproof pillow fort, and so it's got to be 100 degrees in that thing. Have you ever heard of the concept? And it may be a Buddhist concept, so it might be familiar in Thailand, but the idea of desire without attachment. Have you heard of this?
What is the term?
So there is, you're right. There's a term for it, and it escapes me right now, but it's one of the things that's allowed me to, there's 2 things I think as a golfer I've been able to advance in terms of, because once you get to a point, you just swing the way you swing, and then that's it. There's not many things you can do to continue to improve on that, especially if you're consistent, right? So you mentioned something when you were saying you get to the point in the golf shot where you just kind of have to let go and let the swing happen, and then the ball goes where it goes. So there's this idea that I attribute, a lot of things. I think I've been, able to get the date with the girl that I liked, or get the job that I wanted, or hit the golf shot that I wanted, or hit the basketball shot that I wanted when I was younger. And the idea is, when somebody throws a pass to an NBA basketball player and they grab the ball and they shoot it, of course they want to make it. Their aim is to make it. But in that moment, they're so caught up in the moment of executing that shot, they don't care whether it goes in. All they're doing is grabbing the ball and reacting. In golf, it's tough because you can take the shot whenever you want. So there's a lot of, we all know as golfers, when you're standing over that ball, there's a million things that could possibly go through your head. So what you have to do is get to this point where once I stand over this, the thinking's done. You have to let go. You can't care about where the ball goes. You can't try to aim it. You just need to swing and hit it, and where it goes, it goes. And it's a radical concept, I think, for a lot of people to grasp, because how the hell do you want something so bad? You want an outcome so bad, but simultaneously you're executing against it without really caring if you ever get it or not. It's such a foreign concept, but I was reminded of that when you were talking about in that process, you just kind of have to let go.
Well, I think one of the problems about it is that people will firstly dismiss anything you say like that, because they're attached to the idea that anything you mention about Buddhism or Zen or Eastern religion is some form of religion. The first thing to understand, it's just philosophy. There's got nothing to do with worshiping anything. So if you can drop that facade of trying to be, you know, anti-new age, you can actually open yourself up to the opportunity to do it. But if you dismiss it immediately, just like anything I say in the videos, if you dismiss whatever I'm saying, you will not execute it. You have to believe it. And to be able to believe it, you have to bring the wall down. And the one wall people have is that there's this Eastern mysticism style thing where what you've just described is not, it's not an Eastern mysticism religious concept. It's a basic concept of non-attachment. And like I keep telling people that exact same thing, to let go of what's happening. But I think one of the biggest problems is that in our culture, especially Western culture, is that you're so attached to the outcome because it means that you care. So if you get angry and upset and you're so into it, it means you really do care. If somebody's aloof to something, it means they don't care. And in our culture,
Right.
that's not really something you want to portray. You don't want to be the guy who doesn't
Right. You're
care.
not aspiring to be like that. Nobody, that's not of value, right?
Yeah, but you look inside Michael Jordan's head when he's shooting free throws. You look inside Brad Faxon when he's holding 10 footers inside their heads. There's literally nothing. When they miss and they see the ball miss, they're either analyzing why they miss and how they could do it better next time in the moment, or it's completely blank because they just know that they're going to shoot 100 shots and they're going to make 75 of them. Brad Faxon's going to hit 110 footers. He's going to make 30 to 35 to 40% of them. When he misses one, it's just part of the other 65%. And I think that that's that's why people are attached to these pros who celebrate really exuberantly, and then there's other people who are attached to people who are more monotone, more subdued. I think it appeals to different people, but if you can get over that concept of having to be attached to something to care about it, man, life opens up on every level. Like you say about relationships, that's one of the first places you can actually learn about non-attachment is like the day you stop becoming needy and attached to some girl you like, or someone you potentially could date, and they may be potentially interested in you, the day you stop being needy and attached without an invitation is the day you start getting the chicks.
Right.
It's just the
Right.
way life works. The concept of non-attachment is what gets you the promotion at work. When you don't care, you've seen office,
Right.
or what is it called, Office Space, right?
Right.
And I mean, like that guy comes in with his fish on the table, and he goes into the interview with the two Brads or whatever their name is, and they
The two Toms or
yeah,
Bobs.
yeah, the two Bobs, and he gets a promotion over everyone else while they're getting fired. It's not, it's a comedy, but that's exactly how it works. The lack of
Right. He doesn't
attachment.
give a fuck. So he's just answering. You know what I mean? Like he gives the best answers he thinks from his perspective. And they're, I mean, they're obviously two idiots, but they're blown away
Well,
from the fact that he's being honest about it.
and that's exactly the point, is that once you can let go of attachment to the outcome, that also allows you to be more truthful, which means that you say what you mean to say and you mean what you say, and the outcome of that is not your concern. The outcome is the other person's concern, how they deal with it. So the concept of non-attachment is huge in my life, but I don't talk about it too much. I try to put it into the golf shots. But in terms of anything, in terms of taking a risk with business, with a design in my golf sidekick water player gear, in a video concept, in a satirical video I might make about good or something like that. It's a risk you take, and whatever happens happens. I mean, you put it out there and see what happens. But without taking the risk, because you're so attached to the outcome and the potential failure, you can't advance. And I learned that also from a book called Escaping Cubicle Nation, by someone, her surname is Slim. And in that book, she was saying, if I leave my corporate job, my worst nightmare is that I live down at the river in a van. And I sat there thinking, okay, what would be my worst nightmare if I left the corporate job? And this was the beginning of the end.
This is prior to you actually leaving that job.
Yeah, this is me. Like, I started thinking about leaving this job, and that's because I was so attached to this job. I was so attached to potentially changing my stars, getting a new position somewhere else, or potentially having the status of being someone in the corporate world. And I thought about my worst nightmare. My worst nightmare was I would live in South Africa on a game ranch, what we call a nature reserve, as a tour guide, showing people animals for like $300 a month. And I was like, holy shit, my worst nightmare is actually my biggest dream. So if worst comes to worst, the worst thing that can possibly happen to me is I go and do the best thing in the world. And that just showed me like you're so attached to stuff. And another friend of mine, the guy who does my voiceovers, my butler, right? He's known as my butler. He also broke free. I mentored him out of breaking free from the corporate world. Now he runs his own software engineering business, very successful. And he told me two things. One thing is that when you're in the context you're in, that's the only reason you actually are attached to those things. So I live in Bangkok. I want the high rise condo. I want to impress people with the fittings and the finishings and the view I have of Bangkok. I wear tailored clothing. I have nice shiny shoes. And I have my fucking lanyard around my neck, showing off my fucking position at the shitty ass
Company. Yeah,
company.
yeah.
So to impress people I don't know. When I leave that and I leave Bangkok, I realize, holy crap, dude, I just want a quiet freaking house with a piece of land with some freaking vegetables and goats and chickens laying eggs. And that's what I want, like objectively what I want. And the other thing he told me was, I never understood what the problem with alcohol was in terms of, I don't drink much alcohol anyway. I think this year I've had one beer for my hole in one and one beer for Mo making it to the PGA. So I don't
I've
drink
had
much
2 beers
alcohol.
just sitting here, by the way.
So he told me about the thing about alcohol. I said, how does it actually impair your decisions? I've never experienced it. And he said that the alcohol grips you in a way that he needed new work shoes when he was in his corporate job. And he would go to the shop, Aldo. I don't know if you guys have Aldo. And he would go and get these.
Yeah, we do. ALDO,
Yeah,
Aldo.
yeah,
Yeah,
Aldo.
yeah.
So he'd go and look at these shoes and he'd be like, what the fuck? I'm going to spend like 2,000 Rand, or probably in dollars, that's like 200 bucks. No, 150 bucks on a pair of shoes. He's like, fuck that. And this is on a Friday afternoon. So he goes out on the Friday night and the Saturday night and blows 200 bucks on alcohol, instead of the one thing that's going to last him a long time that he really needs. And
Right.
these are the kind of perspectives that you get. And if you're conscious and you start taking notes of them and what people are saying, man, you can really change a lot. And because the thing about golf, it's not just golf, it's your life, right? Even I'm a rusher in real life. So I used to rush on the golf course a lot through my shots and stuff. Now I've stopped rushing in real life, and now I stop rushing in on the golf course. I used to use golf as my way of achieving something, because I was an underachiever up until the age of like 28. So you can change things on both the course and off the course by using both at the same time. And
Yeah,
I
I'm
know it's philosophical or whatever, but that's how I see golf.
no, I mean, no, that's important. Those are see, this is one of the main things I just love about golf in general, because you end up having you get paired with the random stranger who you've never met, and then you end up having conversations like this, and you end up learning things from them. Or at least, I mean, if you're aware and present in the moment, you're gonna pick those things up. Like I brought up the patience aspect because I'm like a rammer, right? Like I'm like the prototype. I mean, this isn't like a humble brag, but for purposes of this conversation, like I'm a like very alpha kind of type A, like I, like I want what I want and I'm gonna ram it through and get it however I want. And there's a lack of sophistication, I think, or nuance in that approach. And it lacks a lot of patience, right? Sometimes it's just not the right time for you to make that birdie in life, right? It's not your opportunity to take a certain outcome that you want. You have to be patient, look for better spots in life. I had no concept of that until, playing golf for years and years and years. And finally I came upon, you know, it you can't aim at every flag. Sometimes you just shouldn't be hitting that shot, wrapping it around a tree, right? Like you should just get it to the middle of the green, or as you say, Giotica, and then work from there. And you're not going to make birdie on that hole. Just let it go. The next hole, you hit a good tee shot. Now you have a clean shot at an open green with a flag that's accessible for that, and make your birdie there. So once I started figuring that out, my scores went down. And then in life, I started realizing that, you know what, this situation in this job, like I don't need to steamroll this person. Like I'm going to let them shine, let them have their moment, and I'll go figure this out. Or with this relationship, I'll let this argument go. Like I don't need to win this one. That it's something that can be taken care of later. So that kind of thing like greatly improved my life. And what's funny is conversations just like the ones we're having right now are the way that I was even opened up to even thinking about things like that. And they happened on a golf course. So, philosophical and as deep or, new agey as they get, they're supremely helpful. And I think, when I look at the comments in your videos, and what people say about you in places like Reddit or whatever, they're instantly drawn to that part of your game. And I think it comes through in the videos and the reflections of what people say about that. So I think that that's a tremendous value upon, all the other entertainment pieces that go into it, or zoning out in the middle of a workday while they watch your videos.
Well,
like that stuff's important.
That's one of the big things is that that's why I think I don't know what your analytics are, but my analytics definitely is 25 to 45-year-olds. That's the biggest audience I have.
Yep, me too.
And I wouldn't be surprised if the average viewer age of my channel is 32 to 35 years old, because I think that's just representative through the videos, the struggles or the ideas and the concepts of what you experience, like you say, as you age. I'm not. I used to be a sprinter at 22. I used to run 100 in like 10:20 or something crazy like that. I used to.
Jesus.
I used to play all kind of sport at provincial level. I mean, I'm not a big guy, but had the determination to do it and stuff. And at that level, or at that stage, if I had started making the videos I had, maybe the direction would be something else. But like you say, you can see the journey through. And I think that's what draws people in, is that when you're in your 30s and you're reaching your 40s, I think you get just a different life experience. And that's when you start waking up to being more conscious. And I think one of the things, because you talk about conscious and mindful and present, one of the big misunderstandings is that consciousness is not that you're expanding to become this guy like freaking Neo who can read the code of the Matrix. It's not like you can see the green code everywhere, bro. It's literally, like I said in my whiteboard video on the approach game, it's literally stopping and thinking for 10 seconds. Just stop, breathe in, and think and analyze. And then that way you're allowed to, you allow yourself to give yourself more options. If you have no options, you have no free will, right? It's like, let's say for a golf shot, if I stop and look at the golf ball, look at my obstructions, look at the lay of the land, I have myself 5 or 6 options. If I come up to it, measure the laser 155 yards, pull my 9-iron, hit the ball, chunk it 25 yards down the fairway, now I'm angry because I'm a loser, because I chunked a 9-iron again. I didn't look at the lie, I didn't look at the wind, I didn't look at the grass, I didn't look at the uphill, downhill, how the green looks, where the bunkers are, and how wet the turf is. But if you're conscious, if you're in the moment, man, you can do anything. You can slash scores by 10, 20 shots. I'm not even exaggerating. You can go from 9.
No, I know. Like if you're a guy who routinely shoots 95, it's generally because I mean, dude, there are plenty of people who can consistently put the ball in the air and shoot 95s, and they can kind of count on a ball flight and a distance out of each club. But because, I mean, for lack of a better term, their head is like way up their ass. So they just have no idea. And I have friends like that where I'm just like, dude, just take a second. Like, you're so pissed off. By the way, my girl is learning how to play golf. She's a huge golf fan, and she picked it up like 6 months. And I'm the thing that's finally setting into her, because she has a beautiful natural swing. I mean, this bitch looks like Tiger Woods.
They always do, bro. Everyone I met in the US with a wife. Everyone who played with a wife in America, their wife's swing was like picture perfect. And we just stand there taking video clips in slow motion, showing each other, like, how does she do this?
Dude, it's incredible. And I'm just like, look, you're wasting it because your expectations are up here when they should be here. And if you just reset those and let them play out, you won't be so goddamn mad when you top a ball down the fairway. And then, because what she'll do is what everybody does at that level is, her anger takes over and her, this fucking hole's over. Fuck it. Next thing you know, she has a 9. And she just ruined, for the first time, this literally happened. She was through 6 holes. The worst score she had was a double bogey. She throws up a 9 because she's building her expectations. They're getting higher and higher as she's doing well. Then all of a sudden she doesn't meet those expectations for one shot. She's like, fuck it, I'm going to blow up the whole thing. And it's just, it's funny. I literally showed her like 6 minutes of one of your videos, and I'm like, look, this guy says something that like maybe if you get it from somebody else, you'll calm the fuck down and stop being the worst playing partner of all time for like 6 minutes around. So thank you for that, by the way. That made my life much better.
Yeah, one of the things is that you have two kind of people on the golf course when it comes to not being aware of what they're doing. One is someone who's so angry and up their own ass, thinking the world of themselves that they should be better than what they are, and meanwhile they're actually playing to the level they are. They just need to accept it. But the other one is what I like to target on my channel, and that's the people who are unaware of these things that you need to consider. They don't get angry; they're just really frustrated. They enjoy the game, but they just no one's made them aware of it. I once saw someone, because I stopped interacting on Reddit a little bit, because the thing is that the more people you get watching the channel, the more negativity you get. It's not
For sure.
necessarily a higher percentage; it's just a higher absolute number, because 2% of 200,000 is more than 2% of 20,000. So I don't really
Right,
interact
right.
anymore. But one of the things I remember was someone saying, "Oh yeah, Golf Sidekick gives advice. It's not that great. It's just like your low handicapper friend at the golf course." And I was like, "But exactly, Dumbo, because people don't have a low handicapper friend at the golf course because they're either intimidated by them, or sometimes those low handicapper friends are absolute cuntillas. So of course they don't have a friend. So that's why the channel is how it is, because I genuinely only play with handicap golfers, except for ProMo and a couple other pros, just to compare and contrast how good they are compared to us. But generally, I'm playing with dudes who are like between probably a 3 handicap all the way up to, I don't know, whatever the maximum is, 54. And I get as much joy watching Mo
36 or
shoot a
whatever.
66 as I get from watching this old German dude I play with who can't break 125 use course management to shoot 101. It's like
Right.
the beaming smile he has, he just knocked 25 shots off his score, is equally as impressive as watching Mo shoot a 66.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, it's crazy because like I've never so I'm a terrible coach. I can't coach. And so, I put Veronica in front of a coach to kind of just, there's some aspects of the game like she's not sure how to chip or, how to line up putts or whatever. So a coach helps her with that. And then we get out on the golf course and I'm like all mental game, all course management. And the most joyous part about it was the last time we played. And like I don't get pissed off, or like if she gets pissed off, I just let her, blow off some steam and then we move forward. But the best part is she played an entire hole, a par 5, and she hit her tee shot and she asked me like, "Hey, what would be better? Shot A, shot B, or shot C?" And I'd never seen her consider anything other than standing up, lining up to her target and swinging.
Yeah.
But she was in a spot where she had to be analytical. It was beautiful. She did that 3 times up the fairway, got on the green in 3 shots, first time ever, and made the putt for her first birdie ever. And it was, dude, it
It's
was,
just consciousness.
I was just like, right. I was like, look, you can get the ball up in the air. You know exactly what clubs, what clubs you can't hit right now, and you know what clubs you can. So if you don't have the shot you need, what's the second best one you can do? It's as simple as that. So, and I was like, look, I do this all the time. If I can't punch this under a tree and get it up in the air before it hits those trees, then what are my options? And then I just go through the second best or third best thing.
Well, I think that's also part of that skill of being conscious, is that you have to understand as well and start to begin to understand that the shots that you see as an 18 handicapper, like you're behind a huge tree, you're going to pull this lob wedge out of your bag, and you're going to send it right over this tree, even though you're 145 from the pin. Dude, the trajectory you need to get it that high that quickly means that your lob wedge can only, if you can do it, will only go 55 yards because you can't get
Right.
that high.
You'll
Now
be
you have
1/3 of the way.
yeah, you're over the tree and you've got an awkward shot. What if you just hit a 5 iron along the ground, 130 yards, chip and putt? But that's stuff that you need to actually understand how difficult the shot is compared to what you're expected to do or what you can do. And a lot of people don't have that either because of the PGA Tour highlights reel and this constant flow of dopamine filled content that makes it seem as if that's the only way to play golf. And I try to steer people away from that, but I mean,
I love that you do that, by the way. I
yeah.
think that's one of the most valuable things you do in your videos.
Yeah, and I mean the hard part is just to get people to understand that. But at the same time, you also have to just say, look, my niche is going to be very small. We're talking to conscious people here. So conscious people, if you're only conscious 2% of the time, 5% of the time, you're only going to have 5% of the people actually conscious at all. So that means my niche will always be a bit smaller, and mass success will probably be very little, because it's all about the guy, the player. It's all about them getting better, and it's less about the big rah rah stuff. So I understand that, and I try target the people who actually will be able to listen. I don't try convert anybody. If you try convert people,
Yeah.
they get more. You can see comments and stuff, which I moderate, because I don't like negativity and just nonsense. Because I don't mind. One of the things people don't understand is that someone will say, "Oh, Matt runs his channel like a dictator. Matt's blocking people because he's a cult of personality." Blah. And you're like, bro, shut the fuck up. A cult. Do you even know what a cult is? A cult is destructive, bitch. The thing is, the thing is that I delete this stuff because you poison the well. Like
Yeah, you don't.
you come in with
Yeah.
this negative attitude, and you're like, dude, most people who are like that are completely unaware and unconscious, because they don't understand the language they use betrays them. The way they speak doesn't say anything about me, it says something about them. And
With them,
because,
yeah.
in my opinion, they're so unaware and so unconscious of what they're actually saying, the words they use, the context they use, the innuendo they put in their words, because you're so unaware, you're not welcome to comment. And that's the
Yeah,
point.
dude. Yeah, I mean, that's just I mean, as small as my audience is on YouTube, I get these, negative Nancy's just causing problems. And it's, you know what, in the end, if you're successful at anything, even to a small degree, just people hate on it. It's just the natural order of things. It sucks that
100%.
it's like that, but
But that's another thing that people don't get, is that, like, or not, I'm going to say some people, is that I like criticism in terms of questioning something. But your question must be phrased in a way of genuine curiosity, not a veiled accusation.
shot at you.
Exactly, a veiled shot. If you ask a genuine question, I'll give you a genuine answer. And then another thing I found is that because people are so unconscious, so unaware, what they'll do is they'll put up a shitty comment. You'll reply either very neutrally or equally shitty, and then you'll get this like response. It's like, oh, how can you speak to me like that? You're supposed to be a content creator in the public eye. You should be a better role model. Oh, this is terrible how you can treat people like this, your viewers. And you're like, but bro, you've clearly exhibited
It's like
you're
you're a
not.
dick.
Like,
you're a
so
you're a fucking dick. Sorry.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, this is also one of the things I find, is that people. I mean, we're talking about so many topics, but one of the things is that someone like that is one of these guys who feels um, that there's this thing, freedom of speech, which I understand is a very vital part of certain societies, and in America, it's one of the fundamental um, rules of the land, is that you have freedom of speech, which is cool. But once you go into freedom of speech, you have to understand that your freedom of speech is limited to my house. So if I come into your house, tell you your wife is fat, has no taste, looks disgusting, has cellulite everywhere, and makes me want to vomit, her bob cut looks terrible, and your house looks like shit. She doesn't keep it very well. Is that something you want to hear? Well, I mean, like, no, you're going to kick me out your house. My channel is my
Yeah,
house. The people in my
yeah.
house are my guests. If you come and you start being a prick to the host, you can best believe you're going to get kicked out or get a smarmy response.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it's like, you
Do you,
have
do you
freedom
know
of
what's
speech, but not in my house. Like, you can say what you want, but there's a consequence to what you say, and that's just the way
yeah,
it is.
golf sidekickville. You
Golf Sidekick Bill, yeah, Amendment 2.0.
dude, well, I'm gonna let you get out of here because you're probably dying of heat exhaustion. But I appreciate the time. I appreciate the conversation. It's been amazing. I'm going to, for anyone not listening on YouTube, go over to YouTube. There's going to be a variety of links in the description. So I'll definitely have a link in there for the first link will be promos. It's not GoFundMe. It's the other one. Go Get Funding.
Go get
Is that
funding.
right?
Yeah.
Right. So I'll have his link in there. You can go help out promo. I'll have Golf Sidekicks channel in there. You could check that out too. Um, The other thing that I will throw in there is we have referenced a couple of videos. So those specific videos you'll find on his channel down there. And then, what else do folks need to know? That's it, right?
Yeah, let's get Mo to stay in the USA. Hopefully he has some good results and is able to stay there forever. My goal is that he actually never has to come back to Thailand unless he wants to. And that's where his future can be made. It ain't going to be made over here unless he, really wins everything. But if you can,
let's get him those live dollars.
Exactly, bro.
Let's get him that big.
We'd have to try, but I don't know how easy that is to get into nowadays. I mean, maybe I'll send an email or two with my huge influence.
We'll get him as far as we can. For those who are looking for him, he's playing under the moniker Mo Lim. These Thai names everybody messes up. So is that kind of why he shortened it?
Yeah, his name is Tia Limpipon Pai Bun, and ain't nobody going to be saying that.
It took me years to figure out Tong Chai Chai Di and Kiradek Afi Bonrat.
Yeah, and even the Thai commentators can't say Mo's name, so.
So Mo Lim, keep an eye out for Mo Lim. We'll be updating him here, but lots of updates on Golf Sidekick's channel. So if you subscribe to him on YouTube, you'll be able to see all about Mo. And Matt, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it greatly. Hopefully we can do this again. And, when you get to the States again, let's do it in person.
Yeah, thanks, bro. Awesome. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate it, man.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Good one, bro.
See ya.
Cheers.